Okay.
All right. Are you going to kick us off, Justin?
Yes, I can kick us off. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CSS discussion that we're doing twice a month. I'll just be at every second one. Schalk is the major driver of this one. Yeah, so now when Schalk and I last chatted, we went through the State of CSS survey, but we didn't get through all of it. So we're going to finish up that today. And then we've got some like interesting little links and things to share with everyone. Some interesting articles that came out in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Our sponsor, Schalk.
Yes, sorry, I was looking for the unmute button and then I realized I was actually unmuted already. Yeah, as always, let me just bring my screen up. So we're going to be talking about State of CSS, just finishing up that discussion and then diving into some other things. But as always, like this specifically is sponsored by one of my clients that I do contract work for called Pattern. You can just check them out at patternretail.com. They kind of work within the realm of ERP systems, so stock management and whatever within the fashion industry. They have a lot of data science and data like analysis people on board. So they do a lot of like machine learning things in terms of predicting, like your stock movements and so forth. Yeah, some really smart people, people way smarter than I am. Working on this. I just make the stuff pretty. But yeah, check them out. They kind of help us keep the lights on. So yeah, if you want to like support us, then kind of give them a look. Spread the word about them, and yeah, they are hiring every now and then. So there might be some positions open as well. All right, cool. So let's dive into this. So last time I think we kind of we ended off speed running a bit through CSS usage. Yeah, and you said like this was very like concerning, and I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
Let me just go full screen. Yeah, like to me it's insane that smartphone is only what, like 20% more than tablet.
Yeah. Very concerning.
Yeah. I'm surprised by how high desktop with keyboard only is.
Yeah, that's actually encouraging because I expected that to be much lower.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Like maybe, like I would be curious how much of that is actually the case, and how much is that like, yeah, I know I should do that. But yeah.
Or I hit tab a few times on one form.
Yes, they say they test it. They don't say what the outcome of the test is. Maybe you test it and it's completely broken, and then you're like, "Yep, done the test."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott, can we just go back to one other thing there? One thing that also concerned me with this is that altered vision simulator. I mean, you can literally do a colorblind test in your DevTools. And it's so quick and easy to do.
I didn't even know that. How do you do that, Justin? So if I go inspect, yeah.
Are you in
Chrome?
You're in Chrome. No, sorry. You need to use Firefox. Sorry. It's a Firefox feature.
Okay.
So you can, Firefox accessibility tools allows you to switch between various.
But I assume there's like a Chrome extension.
There must be an extension.
Colorblind.
There must be.
Colorblindly. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Let me give it a go. Okay. Let me not like. I think for myself, yeah, but see, I think this is also the thing is like, I guess the question then is, so for example, for myself, I don't, believe it or not, I actually don't test for color blindness because I just don't use color as the primary way to communicate meaning. I think if you just like have a house rule that you're only going to use color to enhance meaning, then I guess there's not a reason to test for it. But like I think, as Justin, as you said, it's so easy to do. So
Yeah.
let me just actually
Can I just
add. Sorry, just give me a second.
while you're
quickly.
adding that, I'm just gonna quickly share Firefox.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, my wife just walked past with the kids. Okay. Oh yeah. You can give me a look. Yeah.
No, it's not letting me do it now. That's also Chrome. But anyway, in Firefox, if you go to, you just go to the accessibility tab, and there's an option to simulate, and you can simulate Protanopia, Deuteranotopia, Triton, etc., 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 and also contrast loss, which is very useful. Because that shows like if people have their brightness set very low and so on. Yeah.
So let me check this
So that's
out. Okay, so doesn't see unless no, it should be affecting the stuff, right?
Yeah, try the green one.
Let me try something like sure, I don't know. Let's just go LinkedIn. There's probably going to be a wider range of colors here. Shout out to Alex. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay. So, all right. Okay. I'll check. I'll have a look later and maybe leave a comment in terms of why it wasn't working. It has a lot of down.
Schalk, you're frozen. Okay, we seem to have lost Schalk. While we're getting back, I'm just going to share my screen and just demonstrate this. So if we go inspect accessibility properties in Firefox, you can see it expands our trees, and we can then go and do all those checks, and it'll tell us all sorts of color and contrast issues that we might experience. You'll see in this case, does not meet WCAG standards for accessible text. On that particular text node, this is Firefox's landing page. But you can also go and simulate color blindness. So, for example, no green, no red, no color, and contrast loss, etc., etc., etc. So we can add all these kinds of things. We can check all of these kinds of things via that. Okay, I assume Schalk's going to try and come back. In the meantime, I'll just carry on with what we were doing and get to that State of CSS survey. It's back.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all. My internet just dropped. But
I figured. I just showed the Firefox color blindness accessibility inspector while you were gone. So
okay, cool.
Okay.
Yes, so let me share my screen again. What I was saying before I was so rudely cut off is I'm surprised how high feature phones are.
Yes, that also jumped out to me.
And especially given that this is international, and it kind of feels like South Africa used to kind of have a disproportional amount of feature phones back in the day compared to the rest of the world. And honestly, in all the testing I've done, we've done a lot of testing back in the day at like Open Up and so forth. And even back then, feature phones were kind of really on their way out. I personally, in my experience, I don't test feature phones anymore because like every time like I'm involved in some type of user testing or whatever, it's almost like no one has a feature phone. No matter what LMS they are, like even so we like kind of so we did work with back when I was at Open Up. We kind of did a lot of like civic technology stuff, specifically around like poor people getting unlawfully evicted and whatever. And like all of them had smartphones, just like entry level smartphones. Like you can get one for like 200 rand or whatever. So yeah, I don't know what your experience has been like. Whether you guys still test for feature phones. I used to back in the day.
We used to as well. We used to do, test Opera Mini and
exactly. I don't even look at Opera Mini and Can I use anymore.
No, we don't either. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting that like a quarter of people said they test feature phone, and I once again I wonder like how much of that is just I know I should compared to actually doing it, and how many of that is actually not understanding exactly what the difference is between a feature phone and a smartphone. But yeah,
yes,
I don't know. It's interesting.
I looked at the comments and I filtered them by feature phone, and the first one is I'm not sure what a feature phone is. So.
Well, there you go. So, but from my perspective, like even when working with users that you would assume would be like the most likely people to use feature phones, most of them don't use feature phones anymore. Because WhatsApp is kind of like almost like the great equalizer.
Exactly.
Like if you in South Africa, like kind of like no one's really sending SMSs anymore. So you probably like if you don't have a phone that can run WhatsApp, like you're probably not going to be able to do much with it. So yeah. Okay, gaming consoles. Yo, who are these people that test on gaming consoles? I know I should, but like I don't even know where to start. Yeah, but where do you even start? I don't think you can test on gaming consoles on browser stack. I don't have a PS5 or a interesting. Okay. Anyway, I guess it's I don't know. I don't know how to make sense of this. Cool. CSS usage. I don't know. This is actually kind of a strange question to me. And also I don't know why e-commerce sites are so low. But it's because there was the other. It was the other that people answered. Yeah. Industry sector. Yeah, I don't really find these kind of useful because oftentimes when I'm filling them out, I don't really know what to answer. Like, because the work I do usually like can be applied to like 3 different ones. Depending on how you look at it. Yeah. Yeah. I guess this is not surprising. Methodology. Implement other people. This I found interesting. This was actually, I think the like I was actually expecting this. I implement other people's designs. I was expecting this to be actually way higher.
Me too.
And it feels like 5 years ago it would have 100% been way higher. It almost feels like that was kind of like the de facto. If you kind of did any kind of course or tutorial or whatever on CSS, like you would be like, all right, here's the design the designer would give us. And then you kind of start working from there. So this is interesting. It's actually encouraging. And I do think some of it is just because we've spoken about this before, is that CSS has actually just gotten easier. I have some caveats around that. I do think it's going to become harder pretty soon because we're kind of at that point where there's a lot of new super advanced stuff that's about to land. But I think just like overall in terms of just like basic things like Flexbox and whatever. So I think that frees people up to either kind of hone their design skills a bit or makes it more accessible for designers. Whereas I think previously it almost had to be its kind of own specialization, just because it was so hard just floating stuff. Yeah, but this is encouraging because I know people don't like it when I say this, but I don't think you need to be able to do CSS as a designer. But I do think if you learn CSS, like, it is such a massive competitive advantage. Even if you
Completely
don't
agree.
write CSS yourself, just understanding CSS.
Understanding, yeah.
I really don't know how people that don't know much about CSS make responsive design decisions. Like, I honestly don't know, how do you make decisions if you don't understand how the box model, like, how things flow?
And spacing and layout decisions as well.
Yeah, like,
Completely agree.
okay, but I like, this is very encouraging to see. You know, it means that, you know, 40% of people writing CSS are actually
Involved
either
in design.
implementing their own designs or they create my own designs. I don't really know. Oh, I guess the difference here is, do you just design directly in CSS?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, this is a strange
That seems
question because
they aren't well phrased.
yeah.
I think that might have led to a little bit of a skewed data in the answers, because I
Yes.
think it's more likely that I create my own designs in design apps is higher than I design everything in CSS. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I also don't have a hard and fast rule. It depends on what am I doing. You know, am I just putting some buttons on a page, or am I actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
CSS versus JS. This is interesting. Like, in terms of how you spend your time, 2% exclusively just CSS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, so I've actually been doing a bit of a deep dive on HTML recently, because I think Schalk and I are thinking of, like, doing some stuff around, kind of modern HTML and what that looks like, and because I
Yeah.
think a lot of the resources on HTML is quite outdated, and there's a lot of cool stuff now with the popover API and all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Details just got a big
Yes,
update.
and I think one thing I did realize is it is so hard nowadays just talking about HTML without actually, at the very least, like talking about some implications in terms of the JavaScript side or the CSS side. And I do think it's the same here. This is also maybe a bit very vague in terms of, like, are you talking literally? I guess it's not vague. It's actually, because it gives you allows you for a spectrum. But yeah, like, I'd be very curious, someone who exclusively only does CSS, like, no JavaScript, like, what that looks like day in, day
Yeah.
out,
Yes.
like, yeah,
I mean,
like things like, so if you do like a popover or something, or a modal or whatever, like, how do you, because that's such a important part of the design, like that interaction.
yeah.
I don't know, it's strange. Okay, it almost feels like this is just people trying to prove a point and say JavaScript sucks or whatever, but
Maybe.
mm, yeah.
We
Okay.
might see that number actually change as HTML
Yes.
gets more native stuff, and it might go
Yes.
up actually.
Yes, I think, like, it might start skewing a bit more to this side. But I don't think
Yeah.
you're ever going to be in a space where you can just spend 100% of your time doing
Yeah.
CSS and
No,
nothing
absolutely.
else.
Because
Yeah.
even with the new kind of native HTML things, you still need to put in some JavaScript to use all of the functionality that's
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
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 Like, you can pop up a dialogue, whatever, but you can only have a backdrop if you do it programmatically and so on. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
also things like, ARIA labels. So sure, okay, you should avoid ARIA labels, but there are certain things where you just can't get around it, like error states. You need to
Exactly.
you need to, like, I don't know. anyway.
Yeah.
Like
Curious.
if you submit something and it's, it fails validation or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, browser
But
incompatibility. Yes.
something that last one, that
Mm.
those people who only do JavaScript, that's also very strange. I mean, it's
Yeah.
tiny, but
Yeah. Why are you filling
it's
in the survey?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, this kind of very much lines up with what I would have expected.
I would, yeah, same.
Yeah. Browser compatibility. So we'll see. What is this? There are a few. The knowing and if you'll solve. Is this? I'm not 100% sure. Do you know what this captures? What is this value? I guess it's
I remember
how.
this.
Let me see.
I think it's
Okay,
have you used these, even though they're not.
maybe.
Yeah, I think it's have you used these. These are
Oh,
all
are there
new
any
things.
here's the question. Are there any existing
Yeah.
CSS features that have difficulties using because of lack of support?
Okay.
It's boggling to me that grid is this high.
Yeah. Well, it's only 6%, but still.
No, yeah, but you're telling me that more people are like avoid using grid than scroll bar styling
Yeah.
because of
That is
browser
wild.
compatibility. Yeah.
There are no browser incompatibilities. I mean,
But like,
subgrid, yes,
I'm pretty
but
sure
grid,
grid is
no.
baseline.
Grid has
Is it
been
not?
baseline for ages. Yeah, it's green.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can click on it. It tells you the baseline. Click on grid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
That's
Yeah, it's
strange.
baseline.
Yeah. Subgrid I get. View transition API. It's interesting that I'm not sorry. Like this question is framed a bit strange.
It is framed strangely. Yeah.
Yeah. Missing features. Oh, who the hell wants mixins in CSS? Why do so many people want mixins in CSS?
It's people who come to rely on them because they're
Uh,
using SAS.
and I think it's also people like see it's I'm being a dick now, but it's also like that's probably like your hardcore religious dry follower that's like
No
when they
doubt.
see
Yeah.
anything that looks like repetition they're like I need to abstract this, and then anyone else looks at that code and it's just like 700 levels of abstraction you need to wade through just to figure out that it resolves to color red.
Yes.
Oh, like, yeah,
annoying. Yeah.
I have an entire talk I want to do about like the case against dry. I actually think this is this is a hot take, but I think dry is the worst reason to create an abstraction. Like if you are creating an abstraction just to not type extra things, not repeat yourself, that's the worst reason because the coupling that you're creating to just save yourself from typing some characters is a very bad trade-off.
Agreed.
Okay, so masonry has always been a thing. It's like as long as I can remember, people have complained about why are people saying parent selector. Is this not like has not solved this for us?
Yes, but it's not in Firefox.
Oh, it has not in Firefox.
No.
I did not know that. That is not great.
Well, it wasn't the last time I looked.
Who are these mad people that want for loops in CSS?
No, I mean crazy.
There's some categorical stuff here that is like you just want SAS natively supported. I honestly think for loops in CSS is a really bad idea.
I'm wrong. Firefox does support has, but does it support is? Oh, it does support is as well. Okay, ignore me. Yeah, so we do have conditional. We do have that.
Okay, cool.
We also have nesting. I don't know what.
Yeah, but it's not baseline, is it? Oh, it is baseline.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just people that don't know we have this. What? No, this doesn't
Same
make
with
sense.
multi-column layout. We've had forever.
Yeah, I don't know how to make sense of this.
Yeah.
Okay. CSS pain points, browser support. Tailwind. What?
Okay, I need to see the comments on this.
What? It just has the word. I hate Tailwind. But
Yeah.
what? Like that
Too
is their
many
biggest
people
pain
using
point.
Tailwind. I don't understand Tailwind.
This is amazing.
CSS is broken by design. Oh, people are weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, browser support. I think when I filled this in, I don't
put Safari.
really... Ha! Yeah. Oh, I don't want to like. This is gonna get spicy. Oh, look at this guy. Whew. Someone wants us to standardize CSS and JS. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
how the hell
I
is
mean,
specificity this low?
Yeah.
Okay. And how, like, I think I said
And
scoping.
scoping.
How the hell is grid and animations higher than scoping? Z index. Okay.
So pain point. These are pain points, right? How is
Yes,
grid a pain point? I don't get it.
Yeah, I guess it's just like
You just need to learn it, man.
ISO grid support. Flex have a very steep. Yes, look at Mr. Flex and Grid saying Flex and Grid has a steep learning curve. But you can be glad you weren't born like 10 years earlier than you were. To me, like Flex and Grid feels like that's kind of like layout on easy mode.
Exactly. Yeah. To me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It feels like I get CSS to do the work for me. Yeah. This is interesting. Yeah, these things are so subjective and vague. I don't.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah. This is great. Like, yeah, I would say the same.
That's not and a massive, so far ahead of everything else as a favorite.
Yeah. Why do people like CSS nesting? I don't know. I'm a never nester.
Because they're coming from Sass.
Yeah, so I'm a never nester. I'm surprised grid is this low.
Why is grid still here in 2024? We've had grid in baseline since 2019. It's weird to me.
But it's also weird to me that only 7% of people said that grid is their is like there are people that like CSS nesting more than they like grid. This is cool. Like I'm actually surprised how many people know about the view transition API. But that's all. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Where text wrap balance. Okay. Interesting.
No,
What is this? State of web technologies. Oh, how happy are you? Yeah, it seems people are pretty consistent in terms of their happiness. I think we did look at features. Yeah, so filter effects. Let me just go down and see hanging punctuation. I didn't know. Is this a thing? I didn't know about it. You probably know about this, Justin. Because
but it's not usable yet.
So this is how many people didn't know about something, but they wanted to read more.
Yeah, they want to read more.
Yeah, offset path. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think we can wrap this up for State of CSS. I think we've covered the last one. Was just I think
these things are always useful.
Yeah, I think we did go over this. Let's just quickly get the most used feature. Yeah, CSS. This is interesting to me.
Yeah, we discussed this last time. We were very surprised. Yeah.
Least used. Yeah. View timeline. I know. I didn't even know about the first two, so I guess that makes sense.
I anticipate view timeline being much higher next year.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's so new.
It's also
not because not because it's obscure, but just because it's very new.
And
most
it's also
loved.
not.
This is How is
That's good.
subgrid higher than has? And how is aspect
Yeah.
ratio so high? This is interesting.
Aspect ratio
Most,
is so high for everyone who needs to embed a YouTube video on their blog.
yeah.
They
Do
can
you
now do it with
use,
one line.
yeah, do you use subgrid a lot?
No, I haven't used it.
Yeah, I actually, every time I want to use it, I realize that I'm going to break encapsulation. So I always, then the thing that I'm styling knows too much about like what's above it or below it. So
That's exactly
yeah,
my
yes.
interpretation of using it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like every time I kind of feel that there's always a better way to solve that problem. Okay, most commented probably CSS and JavaScript. Subgrid. What is up with everyone? Also line clamp. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me that line clamp is so like not really a thing that gets discussed or
Yeah.
whatever. But
It's
yeah,
great. It's a really
Mm.
great property.
Yeah, but it's still vendor prefixed, which sucks.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
works everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. But it has some weird. Sometimes it
Anyway,
acts a bit weird. But yeah, cool. Do you want to share your screen and let's dive into some of the resources that you have?
let's do it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Window. Okay. So just some interesting things we came across. For the Tailwind users, Tailwind 4 is in beta. What's interesting for me that I immediately noticed is if we go and check that out, they've now got a dedicated Vite plugin.
Oh,
So
interesting. That's really
they're
cool
not using
like
Webpack anymore.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's really cool because I know probably one of the reasons why I never really hopped onto Tailwind is because like it always felt like such a schlep to just get it to actually work and to remove the actual stuff. So yeah, the fact that like you can just pull it into Vite is probably pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just add the plugin to your Vite config. If you're using Next or something like that, you don't need to do this. You can just
They have
install
their
it into
own.
your
Yeah, they have
Next.
their.
They've got
Yeah, they
their
have their own one.
things.
Yeah, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
This is a big difference as well. You used to have to import at layer, at base, at reset, etc. 3 different files. Now you just import Tailwind CSS, and Tailwind CSS is automatically compiled into various layers, CSS layers for specificity management.
Oh, cool. All right.
You can also install with Post CSS if you want. If you're not using Vite or whatever it might be, and so on. And there's the CLI, blah 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 blah. Right. So this is the other big thing here. CSS first configuration instead of JS or TS. So you don't need your Tailwind config JS file anymore. You just put everything into your CSS file.
Interesting.
And you use plain old CSS logic, custom properties and variables. Yeah.
That is
So
really cool. Yeah. In terms of
that's a
just
massive
interop.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So managing stuff or exactly, if you stop using Tailwind for whatever reason, you've got it all set up in a
That's
CSS
really
file,
cool. I like
really
that. Yeah.
good. And you can also add your theme in here. You just do add theme. Yeah. So you can manage all your themes directly in CSS without having to do.
Is add theme, is that a native add rule?
No, it's a Tailwind.
Okay.
But you can just do root if you want to.
See.
Yeah.
Okay, it converts it to root.
Yeah.
I see.
And if you do use theme, you'll see this is the actual output of your CSS. So they automatically do this layering.
Nice.
And if you use theme, it gets set up as a layer with root, etc., etc. And you can of course extend the base in your own file. So
yeah. This is
so
cool.
that's very
Like, I
nice.
don't know, where was Leia
Mm,
when we were all still using Bootstrap? That would have like saved me so much pain.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we don't need to go through any of that kind of stuff. But so there's now built-in import stuff. So for post CSS configs, so you don't need any other tools, which is also very nice. And built-in transpilation. Yeah. So when you're building for production, they run through Lightning CSS, which automatically does any vendor prefixes you might need, modern features, minification, and
Is
all of that.
is that a more modern replacement for post CSS?
Yes.
Yeah. I've definitely been seeing post CSS kind of being on its way out.
Yeah.
And I've just thought it's just because people kind of realized that vendor prefixes wasn't a good idea. But yeah, I guess post CSS does some other things as well beyond auto prefixing.
It does. It does a lot more than that. It can do a lot of stuff under the hood if you wanted to. But I mean, I find more and more people just use it for auto prefixer, not much else. Yeah. So, all right, then the theme stuff is completely simplified. Yeah, so you don't need to go and set up all these things in your config. You can actually just these utilities, they're no longer based on the theme, they just work. Yeah, so you don't need to configure anything to make it happen. So if you want a grid with 73 columns, you could just do that.
Okay, that's cool.
And they've done the same with data. Yeah, you don't need to use configure these at all. Again, they'll just work.
So there's definitely a move here away from like having Tailwind be like this thick infrastructure layer,
Exactly,
and having it be more just like actual logic instead of like all these bold stuff. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's one of the things that kind of like made me a bit hesitant about Tailwind.
Put you off of it, yeah. Yeah, and it's also going to drastically cut down on your class soup that you sometimes end up with. Very cool is the dynamic spacing scale. So Tailwind's got all these spacing utilities, and you can apply an overall a root variable to that.
Yeah, I have to say, I used to have my own kind of like spacing utility stuff, but since Gap, and specifically since we've had Gap in Flex, I basically don't use any type of spacing utilities anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I very rarely do as well. One thing I do like about Tailwind is the literal space utility, where if you've got a UL, say, and you say space Y2 or whatever, it automatically spaces vertically, or space X2, it automatically spaces horizontally. So
nice.
Those are nice things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gap is the way to go. Gap is coming to block layout too, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
You heard it here that's first. Super encouraging. Yeah.
I'm not going to go through colors and stuff. Okay, container queries is now available in Tailwind. There was a third-party plugin that is now available in Tailwind with the
How does that work?
Container. So you would say,
so you just define what it responds to?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So you would say @container, and that will give up. That's setting up our parent as the container, and then here we've got a grid. We've got one column. When it's small, we've got 3, and when it's large, we've got 4. That's it.
That's cool.
Automatically
I like
done. Yeah. You can do it with all of those things. And then they've also got 3D transforms, which is new.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of other stuff I don't want to particularly go over.
Just like while we're on that topic, like where you're talking about the setting up the parent container and so forth, I thought about one thing in the state of CSS that I'm really excited for. I don't think it was in the results of the last year's one, but I think it was a question in the most recent one. I think this is the most recent one happening right now, I think, possibly, or that was open a while ago. And that is like being able to use data attributes anywhere in your like anywhere in your CSS, which is really
Right.
cool. So previously you could only use it in content in your pseudo elements, and but now, so for these type of things, I think that's also going to be really cool in terms of just setting a container in your HTML directly. And I'm also curious what the implication for that might be for Tailwind as well. Because now you're able to pass freeform data through to CSS.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
But yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah.
Just the last one I just wanted to add here was look at here was they've added support for starting style, which is what allows us to animate display block, display none properties and all of that. And this
I
again,
actually
this
don't
is
know what
just
that does. What does starting style do? I've seen it. I've seen it before, but I actually don't know what it does.
Okay, so starting style says when we do this transition, so it's, you know, in keyframe you go from 0 to 100.
Oh,
and
is
then
it? Oh, interesting. So you're kind of using transitions.
Exactly, yeah. So if
That
you see
is
here,
so cool. Like, oh, I've been wanting something like that for so long.
yeah.
I've even thought about doing it with a set timeout before, where I just apply a different class like a millisecond after the
I
thing
mean,
is
you
rendered.
could.
I know,
So we've
but
got
like,
yeah, I know, I know.
It's so annoying setting up the keyframe stuff if you're literally just doing like something like changing the opacity or whatever. Yeah. That's cool. Like, what's the support for that like?
It's the usual, Schalk. Chrome. Let me just get the MDN here.
So cool. I didn't know about that.
So that you want to transition when the element receives its first style update, i.e. when it's first displayed. So starting style at, and then some rule sets. So blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the thing here is CSS transitions are not triggered on initial state style or when display type changes from none to another value. Hasn't happened.
But that
now
is
it does.
going to change. Oh, is it already? Oh, so starting style allows that.
This is how you do it. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Because I knew that like that is something that is being added, that you can animate from display none. I just didn't know how you would do that. Okay, so you would also do that through starting style.
Correct. So you'll see here we've got our target display block, and then we say, well, our starting style is going to be opacity 0. Now you wouldn't have been able to do that before. Now we say display none in 0.
Yeah, so there's probably some nice interplay here with like view transitions and stuff as well.
Exactly. I think we've said this before. That's so many of the new APIs that appear make it possible to do other things that were not possible before.
Yeah.
I just want to get down quickly. So Firefox is our perennial problem.
Okay. So it's actually Safari.
Yes.
No. So it's like, are we gonna like I'm calling it, you know, give it 5 years, we're gonna say Firefox is the new iOS. Safari is the new Internet Explorer, but Firefox is gonna be the new Safari. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a progressive enhancement, yeah. There's no reason you can't use it. You still your display none display block is still working fine. Yeah. it's just not going to get that nice transition.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to mention here. Just there's some really nice
Yeah.
things coming through in the new Tailwind.
We're probably also going to
Much
see
improved.
we're probably also going to be seeing a lot more frequent releases of like major versions of Tailwind now. Given that the underlying like CSS specification is changing so dramatically, now we're
Exactly.
probably going to be seeing more big number releases of Tailwind much more frequently than we probably have been in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, cool.
there's a bunch of stuff already going on with V4 that people are talking about. So yeah, expect a lot to happen then in the near future.
Yeah, I just need to sit down and learn Tailwind at some point. Or it's not. I think it's not about learning. Obviously, I know how it works, but just it's that muscle memory is very hard to overcome.
Definitely, completely
Yeah,
agree.
but I just need to give it. I just need to just add it as something that I have experience with at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So CSS Tricks is kind of, sort of, maybe back. They have been publishing some things. One that I came across, which I thought was really nice, was just on using prefers color scheme media queries and HTML meta tags to automatically update your light and dark based on user preference. And so
so this applies to the built-in browser styles. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes, the built-in browser styles now have very basic, our standard black on white theme, but also a native white on black version now.
Yeah. How did it take us this long to get here?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
Yeah.
So these are right out of the box. These exist. Yeah. We don't need to do anything to change that.
Yeah.
And
what's really cool about that
is fields and everything as well.
And what's really cool about that is what I found, like when I do dark theme and light theme, it's always the same stuff. It's it's like, okay, take everything that's black, make it white, everything that's white, make it black, so it's I think it's just cool. And I think what's also probably pretty cool about this as well is that it can actually infer, I guess. I'd be curious whether the way, like, I'd be curious, similar to, like date selectors or color selectors or whatever, how much the browser vendors are going to actually apply the idiomatic way in which their operating system handles dark mode and light mode. So, depending on, let's say, what does Android do with inputs and buttons?
Yeah.
When
Very
compared to what does iOS do with buttons? And so that's I would assume that kind of applied in some idiomatic way. So it might look different between, depending on what device you're using, similar to like date inputs and stuff. I don't know. I would assume as much. It would be cool if it actually does that. Yeah.
So there's dark mode. I want what option? Let me just go here quickly. Text field. So there's the date picker. Let's go dark mode. So they are. Oh, you can't see it on the
see it. Oh, it's because it's on your operating system level.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's applying it to the date picker as well.
That's really cool. And I'm wondering whether this had to do with the fact that we finally now have a way to style options as well.
Probably,
because like they had to probably like add some way to interface with kind of like those shadow DOM elements.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
this is so cool. I didn't know about this.
and you can do this two ways. You can just go HTML color scheme light dark, done.
Are those the
Or
ones that you allow?
yes, that the OS understands these.
Yeah, so like, oh man, like give it time. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be like funky
Oh,
mode.
for sure. Oh no, absolutely.
But like, there's probably gonna be like power saving mode or whatever as well.
Yeah. Or you can also do it as a meta tag. Yeah.
Cool.
You can do one or the other. You don't need
Yeah,
both.
I would do it as a meta tag just because then
Me
you
too.
prime it even before the CSS kind of,
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
then I assume like you wouldn't see a white screen while your CSS is parsing. You'd actually see a dark screen, which is cool.
So also what this article talks about is canvas and canvas text, which are system color variables that the browsers all use. And you can actually target these because they use current color. So you can actually use this within the new color scheme property. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't want to get into that in more detail.
So would
It's a
that
good
be if
read.
would that be if someone's like have some kind of like browser extension or something that messes with that? Like why would you
Could be,
do
yeah.
that instead of just like going with, oh, I guess that's if you, no, but you would use unset if you want to kind of break out of the
You could
cascade.
use, you could, but you need
That's
to target
interesting.
it this way. Yeah.
Okay.
And these are all the things you have access to.
Oh. Okay, I think I understand now. So you can say that this, wow, that's cool. So you can say that this color should be the highlight color of, inputs or whatever.
Correct.
That's really cool. So that's also really cool if you're doing, like stuff where you're kind of like overlaying, or you have those like floating labels or whatever, where it's not, like really, okay, cool. Or implementing your own like placeholder thing or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go through this whole article because it's very detailed, and there's a ton of stuff in here
Sure.
on the best way to approach these
Yes.
and so on. It's a really, really good article.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out.
I highly recommend. I'll pop it in the comments, so people
Cool.
can check it out. Cool. So yeah, so that's two things. Welcome back, CSS Tricks. Let's hope it lasts.
Yeah. So what's interesting now is that Geoff is actually, so he's, I guess now lead editor on CSS Tricks and Smashing Magazine.
Yeah.
So you have the same. So you have the same head like staff editor on two competing publications. Yeah. Well, I say competing. Like there's only like the market for CSS related like articles and tutorials, it's not like you're kind of getting into that market to make a quick buck, though. That's just because you care about CSS and whatever. But yeah, just as an aside, do you listen to the CSS podcast that Una Kravitz and them do?
Yes, and
That's
Adam
amazing.
Argyle,
Yeah, I've
really
started
good.
listening to that recently. That's really great. Yeah, super high production quality.
Yeah, very good.
Cool. Yes, you
here's
showed
a quick
me this.
one. This is now available in Chromium browsers. It wasn't before. And it's in Safari preview, so it'll be the next Safari as well. So if you've ever had like this is obviously an extreme example.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where I would use this in the real world, and all the real world practical examples that I can think of would be super gross. But I guess there's probably one out there where you want to control.
One thing is like gradient backgrounds and things like that, or clip paths, stuff like that. This is default behavior if you have text shadows and blah 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 blah, and box decoration break clone will do that. So it allows you to break text across multiple lines. just an interesting one, and yeah, in effect, you can use it with clip path, which I think is the useful one, and border image. Honestly, something I've never really used, but I've always wanted to delve into.
Yeah.
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 So it's just allowing you to.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
As I said, these are extreme examples.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it'll be
So
in
the
the next
reason, yeah,
version.
because I can imagine most places where I would do something crazy with the text, it would be a no wrap white space. But I guess one day
Yes.
I'll find something. Yeah.
Yeah, but then your shadow is going to be around. Remember, that's around your container, right? This
Yeah.
allows you to have shadow around just or whatever it
Finally, I
might
can
be.
start using text shadows in all its glory. That's the only thing
It's
that's been
not.
holding me back. Yeah.
You're going to take your CSS to the next level.
Yeah.
Um,
All the way back to
something else,
2010. Yeah.
yeah, something else that's just landed in Chrome, so it's now available
Mm,
everywhere except Safari, and that's target text.
mm,
So what this lets you do is if you can have a pseudo element, and
mm.
if the
It's
browser
all
supports
Control
text
F, right?
extraction,
Yeah.
yeah, for Control F, yeah.
Mm,
So your
mm,
target text, you can now it's now a
mm,
pseudo element. So if we go
mm.
here, you can see there
Yeah.
in this example,
Mm,
we should have. Oh, it's not going to show it because it's a pseudo element. Anyway,
mm.
yeah. So if someone wants to highlight something or something, you can also
Yeah.
do it on scroll to. If you click on a link that has an
Mm,
ID or fragment in it, just
mm,
another cool thing.
mm.
Yeah. And then, sorry, where's my? Yeah. So Kevin Powell, who is great. If you're not following him on YouTube, CSS,
Yeah.
he's so good. He does amazing stuff. I'll pop the link to this one in as well. So
Yeah.
earlier we were talking about starting style,
Mm,
and in this video he explains starting style and how you can use it to
mm.
animate
He has
things.
some amazing, like even JavaScript stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
really
send
good.
like I really like his style. It's like super approachable. I always give it to my students. Mm,
Yeah, 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 exactly. And I mean, he's got so much stuff,
mm,
um, all sorts of things that you can find out about here. It's a great resource. Uh,
mm.
whenever something new comes out, he's got a video on it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, cool. I think that's all the stuff that I came across this in the last couple of weeks. And if there's
Mm,
anything else you want to add,
yeah.
Scott?
I think there was one thing. Let me just see. Like I've been so distracted now. Oh, Ancurium. I think it's
Oh,
worth
yes,
quickly. You can just.
yes.
Oh
Oh,
well. Let me share my screen. Yeah.
I've got one more as well. We'll end with.
Is it? So this is really cool. So for those of you that did like Flexbox Froggy, or well, let me just say this: if you don't know about Flexbox Froggy, or Frogger or Froggy, yes, you know, so it kind of gamifies learning Flexbox. My students
Yeah,
love it. Grid Garden.
also
Is
cool.
for learning CSS Grid. There's also like Grid Defense, I think. Or what is it? But there's one that's like a tower defense game.
Yeah,
I can't remember CSS Grid Defense or Defense of CSS. I can't remember what it is now. Actually, someone did one. They did a PWA or service worker.
grid attack,
Okay.
grid attack.
Yeah, I think it's actually these people. Yeah, I think it's actually these people.
Yeah,
They did they have like some of these stuff. I like, which is really cool. I think they have one for yeah, so they have a Flexbox one as well. Elon Regex. Bruh. Oh, this is cool. It's like you perform regexes on his tweets to get like hidden messages. This is so cool. I can't wait for this. Although like kind of ChatGPT has kind of like meant like there's no real reason to learn regex anymore, because you just
No.
ask it to write, you say what you want, and it, yeah. But like this is also one of those things, like I had to learn regex by hand a long
Yes.
time ago, which was a pain. There is one service worker gamified learning. Let me see if I can find this now. There's one that is, I can't remember what it is now. Yeah, where you kind of also learn service workers in this way. But so Anchorium is kind of the same principle, but it's just actually how to use the position area. Yeah, so check it out. It's really cool. I think we're definitely going to be seeing more and more of this type of thing now, because I don't know if you know, StackBlitz has kind of open sourced. What is it? It's a tutorial kit, I think is what it's called. Yes, so they've kind of open sourced. They have like a kind of a thing where you can almost like your free code camp or whatever. Where you can just actually build your own tutorials and stuff. So we're definitely going to be seeing more and more of this type of thing going forward, which is super encouraging. Because sitting down and reading MDN, not everyone's wired in the way that I am, where it's like where it's like the highlight of my day. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm definitely wired to really enjoy super nerdy things, but yeah, I think other people, they maybe just want to learn things in a more interactive way.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Okay, cool. So yeah.
One last thing I forgot.
Yes, you said you have one thing. Yes.
Yeah. So if you've known Schalk and I for long enough, you know that we have things to say about Safari.
Yes.
This is a very interesting. It's very long. I'm not going to go through it.
Yes.
But this is like a documentation of all the issues in iOS Safari, in particular, that have been logged over the years, including the IndexedDB bug.
What is that? I don't even know about that. What is the IndexedDB bug? I use IndexedDB quite extensively.
No, it's been fixed.
But
it was completely broken for 2 years.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's also that the one that really grinded my gears was the negative look behind with regex. And like, yeah. Search regex.
No matches. Strange. It's probably here.
Regex negative look behind Safari. Let me see.
So anyway, this is just a nice. If you ever wonder why this thing is broken in Safari, it's probably documented here, and it goes all the way up to 2024. With stuff that's still being released, stuff that is reported and still not fixed.
Yes, I did share a link to, so that I made sure I wasn't going mad. But yeah, like the Stack Overflow article where they talk about like it's not supported in Safari. Yeah. Okay.
So
cool.
yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to share. It's like, because you can tear your hair out on Safari bugs, and you have no idea. And you think it's something you've done, but actually, no, it's just Apple being Apple.
Yeah. And Jen Simmons, if by any chance you listen to this, you are our only hope. Please do something.
I think Rachel Andrew. No, she's at Google now.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I need to head out. I'm already 5 minutes late for my next meeting. But yeah, this is great. Thanks, Justin. And
thanks, Scott.
We'll chat again soon.
We'll be back. Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.